The Fantastic Four is a weird group of superheroes, at least in the cinematic sense. For characters as iconic as they are in the comics, they've yet to have a true awesome representation on screen. There's the 1994 version, for which I haven't seen, sorry, but I just hear is not good. And as much as nostalgia is a drug that I partake in, we do need to chill out on the 2005 version because it's like not that good. And then that's it as far as representation goes. Wait, no, Fantastic came out and just made me wish for death. I was like, maybe movies aren't actually good at all and I should stop. So yeah, I think it's fair to say pretty much all of them haven't worked out. It kind of says something when the best version of a Fantastic Four movie is not actually one at all, and instead is a Disney Pixar movie with The Incredibles, a movie so good I actively think about it at least once a week. So doing the Fantastic Four again in an era where people seem to be less enthralled by superheroes is a risk. On the other hand, with the release of Thunderbolts, which is an MCU movie I have found to like even more as time has gone on, and the recent hit of Superman, maybe, just maybe, it's actually the perfect time to release it, and Kevin Feige has been a genius this whole time. Well, I just got back from seeing the movie, and it's okay. I legitimately just got back from the screening. It is late at night. I don't like recording late at night when I come back. I usually like doing it the morning after at least. But I wanted to talk about it while it's still kind of fresh in my mind and I don't want to overthink things. So I know you hear the it's okay and you're like, oh great, like another movie that he just doesn't really care for. And that's not true, but it's also not true. What the fuck? Let me explain. I don't have an outline for this video at all. I'm just going to kind of spew out my thoughts. Considering that we haven't gotten a great version of the Fantastic Four, it's weird how in high regard I hold these characters. So while I had my reservations about this movie and just about the state of the MCU in general, I came into this like fully positive. And the reason I say it's okay in a weird kind of tone is because I think this movie is successful in some senses. As people know, it is set in the 60s on a different Earth, and I kind of thought the 60s would play a part in the beginning, and then they will totally abandon anything resembling the 60s in the actual movie, and it's more of a marketing gimmick. And I am happy to say that I was completely wrong. This movie, The Fantastic Four, is definitely by far one of the most distinct movies in the MCU, at the very least visually. Like I was watching the movie and I was like, oh my gosh, like there's a lot of like color. The blue on the suits are popping. Properly lit shots, some dynamic movements, some good blocking. Even the scenes in space, I was like, the visual effects look pretty good too. I was like, this looks good. And even though I am somewhat tired of the superhero genre in some senses, I do get tired of hearing the same thing from people who like just these movies do not work for at all. I'm not saying like, oh, protect your billion-dollar franchises and corporate. I'm not even saying that, but like for the people who hate on these movies, I just wish they would say something more than like, oh, it's not a real movie or something along those lines. I am getting a little tired of it. We should move on to something else. So I'm going to flip that here and say, this looks like a real movie. The production design of this movie is fantastic. God damn it, I didn't want to say fantastic. I'm going to read you that. No, I'm not. And it stands out far more because, and this isn't a spoiler, we're not in the same universe as the MCU heroes that we're used to in the other timeline. It's a different Earth, it's a different time, and the world building of it all through the production design and some of the, clever use of the 60s to kind of dump exposition is actually done pretty well. I understand that exposition needs to be given out, so yeah, why not do it in some 60s style news broadcast or talk show? Like, that's a smart idea. But the main reason that I have liked the Fantastic Four characters just overall is because, like, yeah, they are a family. And I was the most curious to see how these actors and these new renditions of these characters would actually interact with each other, and would I feel that family bond? And more or less, I did. This does feel like a close-knit group that actually does care for each other and has some sense of personality. The other Fantastic Four stuff just doesn't hit the same. Fantastic can get the fuck out of my face. And the 2000s Fantastic Four that I grew up with, I saw it at the time, but after just rewatching most of it before this movie, it is crazy how wrong I was when I was a kid. Sue Storm and Johnny Storm look like they can be lovers, but in here, I actually felt most of it. I liked their interactions with each other, and I felt that they actually cared for each other. So that's all good and well. And I think the casting actually works for the most part. That's one thing I was also very curious about. I do want to see a little bit more before I make some definitive statements and declarations on these characters, but I think they all work. The reason I say it's just okay still, because I'm making it sound pretty good, is the fact that the one time they give us a distinct visual sumptuous MCU movie, that's when the story isn't all there. As this movie moves from problem to problem, it just does not have a good flow, and again does feel, I'm going to say it again, episodic. Now, is that because Matt Shakman is mainly known for his TV work? Possibly. Is it because in a weird way this movie is really short, less than 2 hours with the full 2 post-credit scenes? Maybe. But it was like I could feel this movie speed up and then slow down, and then speed up and then slow down. And it's weird because I felt like they struggled with that, but they didn't have to. And the reason I say that is because this isn't an origin story, but I felt like they kind of tried to make it one. So it's like, do an origin story or don't. And they chose not to do one, but yet they still chose to force feed and shoehorn so much backstory and plot that it really slows the movie down to how these characters came to be anyways. I guess I just need to see more from these characters, because while, again, I did like their interactions with each other, their distinct traits is something that we've seen throughout the previous Fantastic Four versions, and frankly, it did get a little bit repetitive. But a thing that disappointed me, especially in this movie, was considering how distinct this movie feels, not only from the rest of the MCU, but the other Fantastic Four movies, they couldn't separate themselves in the actual fight scenes, though. These fight scenes feel the same as the previous ones. Like, Johnny is gonna go fly and go chase, and you know the Invisible Woman's gonna put up a force field where eventually she's gonna get exhausted. And before you start saying, well, that's their character, that's what they do, why are you complaining about it? It's like, no. Imagine in every single Spider-Man movie, he runs out of webs during a fight scene. Like, eventually we would be like, yeah, of course. Like, of course he runs out of webs. Like, are we gonna see something else? And because of that, the final fight scene does feel somewhat anticlimactic. As it was happening, I was like, okay, like, I get thematically why this is a big deal, but also, like, is this kind of it? I don't know. I kind of want to see it again just to see how I feel about it, but off the top of my head, it feels like Vanessa Kirby fighting for her life and carrying the whole team for 2 hours, which I'm not complaining, by the way, you know, respectfully. Maybe I'm being a little too harsh right now. Maybe it's just because I'm tired. I did like the 60s aesthetic. I think there are things to like about it in here for sure, but ultimately, I just think it's all right. The Fantastic Four First Steps, 3 stars. Let me know what you think when you see it down in the comments. And we are done for the MCU for a whole year. That's crazy. We'll see how that works out.